Hi, my name is Taylor, and I am a 22-year-old person. And I would like to welcome you to my channel. This is Winked. It's named after a really bad movie from my childhood called Hoodwinked. If any of you have seen it, I used to love that movie. I rewatched it, and it sucks. That inspires a lot of things on this channel, like my series, Does It Hold Up?, where I talk about old movies that I loved. And I question, are they actually good movies, or is this just something that stupid young Taylor loved because colors and sounds and brightness? But this is a different series that I'm going to start, and it's called My Childhood is Better Than Yours, because YouTube is doing this thing now where they target kid content, and a lot of the stuff that I make on this channel isn't necessarily for kids, but some of it I could see why they would think that, because I take old things and compare it to new things, and the old things are pretty much from my childhood, because that ended 4 years ago, so it was still the majority of my life. So this week we're gonna play into that a bit, where I talk about the wonderful things that are from my childhood and hope to attract adults like you, and we talk about the wonderfulness that was our childhood and compare it to the crap that people are using now. Why is everything so bad? Regardless or not, we're gonna talk about Billy and Mandy, because there's no show on TV that's like The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Okay, we had that show, and it was a depressing, dark show, and it was fantastic. So if you don't know, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy is a show about the Grim Reaper, literal death himself. Fun fact, my family's from Jamaica, and my grandmother did not let us watch this show because she thought it was the white man trying to hold down the Jamaicans and make us bad. For the same reason we couldn't watch Jerry Springer, because Jerry Springer did the episode where he was in Jamaica, and she said that he brought all the problems to Jamaica with that one show. Jamaica had no problems. There were no problems. Then Jerry Springer showed up and problem. We still did. We just didn't tell her about it. It's very interesting because I do have a psychology background. It seems like The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy worked very hard to flip the script of the different sides of the person. There's a theory in psychology. I forget the name, and I'm too lazy to look it up, but just trust me. The theory pretty much states that each person has a masculine side and a feminine side, and whichever side is more prominent is the one that you identify with. I think that's pretty straightforward. There are people who do more masculine things and people who do more feminine things and do less feminine things, and then there are people who do more feminine things and less masculine things. You know what I mean? It seems like it could be some kind of a commentary on social norms, and it could also play into gender theory. You don't have to necessarily be a man to be masculine. In this case, you could just have high masculinity, it's something that you could measure, and low femininity, but you could still be a girl. You're just a hyper masculine girl. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy for me was one of the first shows that I ever saw depict a tomboy-ish character that still wore a dress and identified as a girl and was very comfortable with herself. Mandy was definitely also a tomboy, but the thing that complimented Mandy was that she had the best friend in Billy, who was definitely a hyper feminine person in general. He did the things that were more dainty and self-care oriented. Now, Billy was also stupid, and he was also the comedic relief in this very serious sitcom. So you have these two things. Mandy is this very serious, very condensed, concentrated little girl who is all of the negative things that you could see from overconfidence. She was just mean and aggressive and things that are more negative masculine traits. Whereas Billy, he was representative of the more negative female traits, if you could see where this is going. And they together, they were fine. They eventually become the slave masters of the Grim Reaper. He literally becomes their biatch. I don't want them to think that kids can watch my content, so we're going with biatch. Yeah, so he ends up working for them because they win him somehow. You have this girl, she seems like if depression were a person, and I mean that with the most respect to people who had depression. If depression, the disorder, was a person, it would be Mandy. if that's the case. And then on the other hand, if like mania was a person, it would be Billy. And the Grim Reaper is the person who has both depression and mania controlling him. And that is something that I don't see in common day children's shows. They go through adventures, and they go from their world that Billy and Mandy live in to Grimm's world, like the underworld, where like everything bad is happening, or everyone's dead, or people are dying, because the Grimm still has to do his job, even though he's under the control of both this depression and mania. As I'm talking this out right now, it kind of seems like maybe Billy and Mandy, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, is just a synonym for the bipolar disorders 1 and 2. Because there are definitely episodes where Grim is only with Mandy, and Billy doesn't have many influences. And there are also episodes where Grim has Billy, and Mandy has her own things to do. They're not always in control at the same time. Also, I am aware that manic depressive bipolar disorder is not real, or isn't believed to be real at this point. People either have like a psych, that bipolar 1 with other things, or they have bipolar 2 that's comorbid with depression. Interesting. Just saying that aloud, mainly because I said Grim Reaper so many times that I said the word morbid and comorbid. But, it's one of those days and my brain is fried. But yeah, so I think that this is an analogy for the bipolar disorder, and Grim still has to go to work, which is a depressing job. He kills people for a living, and just to maintain his title, he is the best killer. He is the Grim Reaper, and he's controlled by these 2 tiny little demons at all times. He's there at their beck and call throughout their whole life. They can't do anything. He can't do anything without them. They can call him, and he has to show up. They could take his thing, his sticky thing, and then just make him do whatever. Like I said before, he's their biatch.